warning. Recording in progress. Welcome, everyone.
There's the new one.
Yours. I'm still keeping yours in there, though. It makes the intro. We just keep adding things to the intro. I'm convinced at one point, like the first hour of the podcast is going to be just clips added over time
and fake sponsors.
And then just like there's going to be one whole podcast in the future. I'm not telling you when, but there won't actually be a podcast. It'll just be like if we can come up with our own version of just Too Many Cooks, where it's just a nonstop. It's just a nonstop intro. For an hour straight. Anyway,
yes, I'm on board for this.
All right, thank you for that. So welcome back, another edition of the Six Man Tag Podcast. I know you're listening to this at 7 a.m. when it drops on Friday, but I just want to thank everyone. I want to thank everyone in advance for hanging out late because kids don't know how to fall asleep, and dogs are barking, and people's tech is going wrong, and Skylar was just hanging out waiting. So
it happens.
Little inside scoop for everyone. So I'm Mike. Welcome back. Who is this that I see on my screen? It's CJ.
What's up, everybody? I'm back, not being a cunt like Dennis this week, showing up to work. My name is CJ Doyen, aka Craig Francis, as you may or may not be well aware of. But what you should be well aware of is the man coming up next. The man we know as the man of 1,001 intros, Mr. Skylar Strange.
Don't tell me we must place our hope in men, Bruce. I was there 3,000 years ago. Okay. I was there when Isidore took the ring. I was there the day the Strength of Men died. While you were sitting there wondering how many stars this match would get in the Tokyo Dome, I was there when the day should have ended. I led Isidore into the heart of Mount Doom while you were sitting there wondering why was Kenny Omega wearing a compression t-shirt. Okay? The line of kings is broken. Now show me the fellowship. I was there.
I didn't know I needed the body. I didn't know I needed the body in Middle Earth, but now I need the body in Middle Earth. Dude, for those of you in the YouTube audience, you got to see the Mordor background pop up. That popped me huge, gotta say.
I was gonna say, for the audio only audience, go to YouTube for this one.
You missed a half of that joke. But so I'm not gonna lie, before you pop that up, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, is he really doing Jesse the Body mixed with Lord of the Rings? And then all of a sudden, Mordor. That was great.
Now, having that all been said, let us welcome back.
Yes, indeed.
Two-time.
Thank you.
Podcast guest, Coach Quinn.
Well, hello, and thank you. And guess what? I am a two-time NEW Referee of the Year as well.
Look at that. That's a theme. We got a theme rolling here, boys.
Drop those accolades. Drop those accolades.
Well
How
deserved.
you guys doing, man?
We're doing great.
Doing well, man.
We're just we're kind of we've been having a nice conversation before we hit record, and we're kind of just carrying this over. But I wanted to bring up, I mean, in the last few weeks, you've been the physicality of yourself has been stepped up recently, it would appear.
True. I saw a little saw you got a little color there the other day, huh?
Is that yes?
You caught Hulkamania.
I did. I took a belt shot. It was Alec Price, excuse me, who is actually a phenomenal wrestler, and only a matter of time before this guy gets signed against ABN, the chaotic heavyweight champ. And it was a belt shot, and she decided to duck. And I said, "Oh shit!" And I ate it, and saw some stars, and maybe took a little snooze for a second.
Yep.
And
take it when you can get it.
Exactly. And I'm walking back to the locker room, right? And people are like, "Dude, you're bleeding all over the floor." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I go like this, and I'm like, "Oh shit." I did not know, because all I could feel was something like cold running down. It was weird. So I went in the bathroom, and I'm like, whoa. Now all of a sudden my eyes getting all blurry, and my face is just like getting swelled, and I'm like, shit. And a good friend of mine, I'm sure you know Bill Carr, he happened to be there. So he walked by and I call him Uncle Bill and I go, Uncle Bill. He goes, what happened to you? And I go, come here. I go, I'm okay, right? And he's like, oh, he got you good. And so I had a nice little egg, and let me make this perfectly clear that in this business, you do things and that's what everything's cool. Everything's cool. Alex is a good kid. I actually love him like a son. He's a good dude. So no heat there, no nothing, just in case anybody wants to try
Just something that happens,
Shit
man.
happens.
It happens. Yeah.
Well, you know
Sometimes
how
you just got to
wrest-
chalk it up to shit happens.
you know how wrestling is.
Oh yeah.
And the other clip I saw, I was now Mecca tried to come at you, and I think
Yeah. I got some comments about that.
Listen, he had something coming because you had to be held back pretty good.
Now,
let me tell you,
hold on,
guys,
Kevin. Before you go into this, there's something that I'm not sure if you were aware of. I think we might have brought it up last time, but if you're not, you need to know. Brian Johnson, the Mecca of Professional Wrestling, is my trainer. That's the guy I learned from. I learned every trick in the book from him. So I spent a lot of time with Brian Johnson. I know how he is. I know who he is. So yeah. So how did that come about? Huh? What happened there?
I guess he didn't like the way I ended the match, and he was on me like like white on rice, as the saying goes. And I'm walking back in the locker room, and I finally just said, "Fucking, I had enough of this fucking guy. Like, what do you want from me?" Boom! Next thing I'm up against the wall, and I'm like, "Ugh, let's go, bro." Like, you know what it is at the end of the day, and I say this to everybody, and we'll get into a couple other things about that. I'm a grown man. Like, don't put your hands on me because I'm going to defend myself. And I actually can defend myself if I have to. So I appreciate you saying that, CJ. That's a little inside joke there from earlier.
That's another gag for everybody at home.
You
I
had to be
had
there
to
off
do it.
camera.
I had to do it.
No, that's great. Oh man.
But no, let me tell you something. He has that little it factor, man. He's got the his intensity, like the way his eyes were, like I thought I owed him money. I mean,
I will say this about Brian Johnson, man. The guy's the real deal.
do you know he had to pay for that wall?
No, I didn't. That's funny.
Yeah,
That makes sense though. That's funny.
yeah.
He's the real deal, man. He knows his shit. He loves wrestling, and when I say he loves wrestling, I mean he loves wrestling. He loves everything about it. He studies it. He watches everything from every era. The man knows his shit. He's a great worker, and he's as great as he is in the ring, which I think he's great. He's probably even better on the mic. I don't know. Before Tony Khan bought ROH, and before they, obviously went defunct and all the other stuff, one of their last pay-per-views, it might have even been, no, it wasn't their last one, because I think their last one was what's the one they do at the end of the year every year? Final Battle or whatever.
Final Battle.
It might have been Final Battle. I can't remember. But either way, it was like one of the last ROH pay-per-views that they did before selling the company. And they started the show off with a Brian Johnson promo. He literally came out and started off the show just shooting on the crowd on the mic, shooting on his opponent, and then put on a hell of a match afterwards. And the dude's got a lot of I think the dude has it. I think he's got a lot of abilities, and I'm not just saying that because he's my trainer. I'm not just saying that because I spent a lot of time with him. I think the dude's the real deal. So
I'm gonna agree with you 100%, and I'm just gonna throw this in there as well. You'll 100% agree with me. In a nutshell, he's very good for a locker room.
Oh, that too. I mean, he was our leader. He was our 100% our locker room leader.
He takes to the young guys to try to like help them,
does,
so to speak.
But that's what he's done. He's been doing that since he was I mean, he basically was running OTW since the time he was in his young 20s. Before that, he was pretty much one of the right-hand guys of the guy Ed Atlas who was running it. So he was already training students anyway, even at 18, 19, 20, he was already training students because he had been there since he was like 14, 15.
Gotcha.
So that's just been his whole life, man, is just training wrestlers. And he knows
how old is he? I'm just curious.
By now I'd say he's probably maybe 30. I'm
Oh,
a
no
few years
kidding.
older than him. I'm 34, and I knew I was a few years
Yeah.
older than him. So I want to say he's like maybe 30 now.
Yeah. And I know that he has passion for wrestling. I know he drives about
Yep.
7 hours to get to Chaotic
Oh, he'll go anywhere.
each
He'll
way.
go anywhere. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll drive out to Ohio. He'll drive up to Maine. He'll drive out. He'll
Yeah.
drive down to Florida. He don't care.
Yeah.
Yep.
What you got to do?
Yeah,
You
no.
know?
But he's absolutely
I've done
great,
all
man.
those miles.
And like you said, he's got the passion for it, and you can tell like when he cuts a promo or when he's in the ring in his character, just doing his thing. He does everything with intent. Everything he means, everything he does.
Oh yeah.
You know, he's a smart wrestler.
I've reffed most of his matches at Chaotic except for this last one for obvious reasons. You know, I didn't think it was a good idea for me to be in there for that. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, not a funny story, but the top rope broke in that match when he wrestled Mortar for the New England Championship. Mortar was up top for a top rope move, and the rope snapped.
Ooh, that's always scary.
Yeah. Oh, he got. I wasn't out there, but all I know is the finish game immediately, and you know that stuff's scary. That's the real deal right there. Like wrestling.
Now you can get real hurt.
Oh man,
There was a clip going around. I think it was maybe Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley. I think in like the UK tour, and like the rope breaks and Bobby Lashley just kind of like falls over, I guess, the middle rope. But I think people, and like I mean, I can't really. It's not like I've ever been in a ring when that happens, but I'll throw it to. I mean, I'll say really either of you, you know, CJ or Kevin, when the top rope breaks, I mean, is that just, you know, really just people see it and look, you know, but when that happens, how
I'm gonna actually,
how dangerous is it?
I'm gonna throw that to CJ as he's a worker.
Oh, I can't say that I've ever been in a match where it happened, but I will tell you this, a little bit of insider knowledge for y'all out there. One of the first things they teach you is running the ropes. In wrestling school, it's the first thing you learn is running the rope before you do anything, before you take a stomp, before you take a body slam, before you take your first bump. The first thing you do is you run the ropes. And there's a couple reasons why you do this. One, running the ropes sucks. It fucking hurts, especially when you're not used to it. Yeah, Kevin knows what I'm talking about. So when you're not used to it and your body's definitely like not like ready for that rope to smack you in the back, it hurts that first few times, and you got to know what it feels like. So that's one reason why they do it. The second reason is because they teach you how to do it properly. And one of the things they always say, no matter what, when you're going to run the ropes, you always grab the rope. You always hold on to the rope when you're running the ropes. The reason being is that so that if that rope does snap or something goes wrong, you're holding on to something. So that way if you fall out of the ring, you won't fall out head first, hopefully. The thought obviously being that you can kind of catch yourself and at least kind of fall safely in a way, or as safely as you can. But that's literally wrestling 101 is running ropes and trying to, in an emergency situation, control that the best way you can. I have been in the ring when a bottom rope has snapped or a middle rope has snapped, and we've had to just kind of deal with that. But it's never happened to a top rope when I've been in a match or at a show. And I've never seen anybody get dumped out because of it. So luckily, you know, that's fortunate.
I have to agree. I haven't seen a top rope break, but I've seen a bottom rope break. It was a pounce from Keith Lee to Josh Briggs.
Josh Briggs.
And it was an OMG moment, man.
Josh Briggs is a big boy too. If you guys don't know who Josh Briggs is, look him up because he's a monster.
Yeah, he's in a tag team now, but I'm gonna be selfish and say I want to see him in singles, man. The guy's fucking phenomenal. I spent a lot of time in. Matter of fact, hold on a second. Wait a minute. Man, he beat the shit out of me in Chaotic Victoria.
He beat the shit out of me. I forgot.
Yeah, fuck him. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, be careful. He might beat the shit out of you again.
Hit that edit button. Would you hit that edit button?
I like I've kind of discovered him when I started watching more Evolve stuff, and and I kind of I fell into an Evolve hole a little bit for a while during like the last days of the network before they moved over to Peacock. I kind of started
Yeah.
watching like a lot of the indie stuff they had on there, which was a
Yeah.
lot of Evolve. Which like is like indie, like is it really indie? Like WWE basically owns them, but that's
Are
you
they
know,
still
neither-
are they still running Evolve?
as far as I know.
No, I don't think so.
Maybe
I feel
not.
like they-
actually.
I feel like
think they're dormant, but I think
Maybe the
I read
pandemic shut them
something-
down.
Yeah, that's
no,
what
I think Gabe Sapolsky, he actually is in the WWE now. I
Yeah.
forget what his
Oh,
role
that
is.
makes
Well,
sense. Okay.
basically towards the end, Evolve was basically like the unofficial farm system for NXT,
was.
which was the unofficial
Right.
farm
I mean,
system for the main
I mean,
roster.
Austin Theory, that was
Austin
Yeah,
Theory
really what
was
he was.
champion for
yeah.
like a
Yeah.
while.
But
And I
there
know
was a lot
that,
of
Matt
guys.
Riddle.
There was a lot
Yep.
of guys there. Yeah, Matt Riddle, Brian Danielson spent time in Evolve before he came.
And I think one of the first matches on the network for indie wrestling, so to speak, was an Evolve match with Anthony Green, Josh Briggs. They opened up
Anthony
the
Green,
show,
that's
if I'm
another
not-
name. Yep.
That's another.
If I'm not mistaken. What a superstar that kid is. And just real quick on him, he got me into this crazy business, like I told you last time. And that kid is literally living his childhood dream, and I couldn't be happier for him. That
That's
kid
awesome.
is in Japan, and he's probably just gonna have his smile just tattooed on because it's just it's so happy. I mean, I couldn't say anything better about it. It's just
And he
Good
did get to
shit.
spend some time down in NXT too, so he got some of that WWE experience, which is awesome too.
absolutely. Yep. He's a good dude.
What was
too,
he
on
was
top of it.
Austin Gray in WWE, I believe, right? Anthony Green. They changed his name. I know that they
Dustin
kept the
Gray.
initials. Oh, I think it was
Is it
Austin
that-
Gray because I think they kept I think they kept the AG.
Was it? You know what? The one thing that's super cool about the whole thing is everything that kid's done. He has not changed one single bit. He's the
good.
same Anthony Green. And you can't say that about a lot of people.
No, it's
True.
true.
But we don't want heat.
Not dropping
Yeah.
names.
Heat.
Yeah, right. Not
Dropping
yet.
names.
Not yet, but hey, for all we know, with current circumstances, he could always go back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
never
Although
know.
then again,
Mhm.
Japan I mean, me personally, loving Japan, that I would probably pick Japan.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting now because now I haven't been here the past few weeks, but now that Triple H is back, we're seeing a lot of these talents coming back that we knew were kind of Triple H guys and gals, and they're all starting to make comebacks now. I don't know if Anthony Green falls into that list at all, but that might be something for him. But even if not Anthony Green, I'm sure there's still plenty others that we're probably going to see coming back over the next few months. I think
have to
the
agree
last
with you.
one was just Dexter Loomis. He just showed back up,
Yeah.
right? So
Did you see the promotion Shawn Michaels got?
Yep, he's vice president of talent relations, or
It's creative
Creative,
talent or
creative,
something
yeah.
like that. Absolutely, man.
Which-
You know what?
of course that was going to happen. I mean, once Triple H took over, and
Yep.
it's logical. It's logical.
Yeah.
It makes
He's
all the
a-
sense in the world.
Shawn Michaels is he's a huge Christian Casanova fan.
I can see that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think what man, imagine that, like your Shawn Michaels is your trainer. Like, what
Yeah.
a trip. What a trip, you know?
We got Daniel
Now that-
Bryan out of it, or Bryan
Yeah.
Danielson.
Yeah, same thing. I mean,
true, but now like Kevin's saying, like now he's got not just a whole gym worth of students, but he's got gym worth of students that are handpicked by WWE and signed to
Mhm.
WWE contracts and stuff like that. And now he's molding literally the future of that company is in his
Absolutely.
hands.
But is he is he also doing work on the main roster now with this promotion?
I have no idea.
I mean, I don't know the inner workings at this point. I just know Triple H is in charge. The shows seem to be more interesting.
I've been paying
Overall,
attention. It's been
Right. But
Yeah.
Very
I
good.
feel
You
like
can-
let me throw this out to whoever wants to answer. I feel like we're obviously all old enough to remember that like lull in the mid 90s into what kind of turned into the Attitude Era, which turned the whole business around. I mean, take AEW out of the equation, I'm sure, because all these changes are, to one person's detriment, really. It wasn't like, nobody, it's not like Vince McMahon was going to willingly retire. But nonetheless,
Nope.
I don't think he ever would have.
no,
Nope.
no. But nonetheless, all these changes have been made. Are we seeing like this generation's sort of turnaround? Maybe that like
Potentially.
I don't think it necessarily got so hokey and bad like that early to mid 90s where it was just
No.
it was just so cartoonish. It was, with plumbers and hockey players and
Yeah.
the stalker walking
Garbage
around.
men.
Duke the
Yeah.
dumpster.
Duke the Jumpster Drosy, who, by the way, back in the spotlight on that DX. I haven't seen it, but I guess there was like a short clip of him wrestling Triple H on that like DX A&E biography or something. So apparently
That's funny.
Duke the Dumpster Drosy's back. Are we creeping into like this generation's like change? Like, do you think maybe in a couple of years we see maybe not as big as like an Attitude Era, but is somebody going to come along to kind of like break the mold again?
I
Yes.
think
Yes.
we kind of are. I think it was very unplanned of how we're getting there. I think it was an unplanned shift, but I think
100%.
it's going to be a shift nonetheless. I think that Triple H, I'll put it this way, WWE loves to break down their successes and eras. Your golden era, your attitude era, your ruthless aggression era. I think the Triple H era is going to be known for what it is. It's going to be known as the Triple H era, and I think it's going to, because things have to change. Things are going to be different. And I'm not saying like things have to change because they have a terrible product and they need to change it. No, I'm saying things have to change because Triple H. I'm not saying that's not the reason either. But my point is that Triple H isn't Vince, and things are just gonna be different. And he's already shown it by bringing back all these talents that Vince wasn't a fan of. He's, they're putting on different shows now. They've already announced that they've shifted back into hiring indie wrestlers instead of bodybuilders because that obviously did not work out for them.
Of course.
So things are going back to a wrestling mindset. So I think because of that, we could see, like I said, a Triple H era of wrestling that's going to go for the next, hopefully 10, 15, 20 years. That could be the good, one of the good eras.
So,
Right.
So to expand upon that a little bit, first off, I think this new era began at SummerSlam.
Fair.
I think the moment you saw Bailey, Io Sky, I don't know why, but and Dakota Kai come out, I feel like it's like okay, Triple H is in charge now.
And I think if you had any doubts, Brock Lesnar lifting the ring.
Oh, dude,
I love that moment. I don't
I
care.
think that sealed it.
But
I'm sorry to cut you off. I read like one stupid Twitter comment of somebody like pointing out the fact that, when WWE doesn't have the LED ring post, something's going down with the ring. And I just said to myself, like, buddy, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like,
thank you for putting me on. Like, by the way, Mike, fuck you, because now I'm going to be put on to
I
that.
know.
Now I'm going to know that now. Like, you should have said that to us, you asshole.
You're right.
Man.
Everyone that's listening is saying
you're killing
fuck you,
kayfabe
Mike.
for me, bro. You're killing the kayfabe.
I'm out of here.
Kevin's a professional. He
I
will
guess
not
I am.
deal with this.
I guess I am getting heat. This is good.
This is good. We're gonna get the ratings up.
Yeah,
but I'm sorry if you predicted Brock Lesnar was going to lift the fucking ring.
Yeah.
With a tractor. I mean, just go away. That was awesome.
I don't think that was on the prop bet list in Vegas.
No.
But another thing I want to point out about the Triple H era so far, he remembers those damn secondary titles mean something, because so far we have already had a banger with Gunther, and Shinsuke Nakamura for the Intercontinental title, which was the main event of SmackDown, and it was treated as such. And then we had a hell of a U.S. title match between Bobby Lashley and AJ Styles too. It was like, I think he acknowledges one with Roman Reigns doing,
Roman things.
Well, kind of the Brock Lesnar schedule.
Yeah, Roman things,
which I'm fine with.
So I think he realizes. First off, it shouldn't even have to be that. He just recognizes there's a lineage and a prestige to those championships.
As there should be.
As there should be, exactly. But I also feel like he knows that, okay, if the world title is not going to be around that as much, which I'm kind of thinking there might be a change in plans there. We can elaborate on that later. Then yeah, let's make the secondary titles a big deal.
Yeah.
And
And that's how
it's
it
simple,
was.
stupid.
Right. And it's been a long time since it's been like that. And I actually had a question. I'll throw it to Kevin because I'm sure you would remember better than us, probably being a fan from that transition from the 80s where everything like Hulk Hogan on top, and even in the Hulk Hogan run, at least in WWE, went probably through 93. What happened? Like, I'm assuming you were watching regularly then, but what happened that everything just kind of went to shit by like 95 to where there needed to be this big change in 96 and 97 to move into that Attitude Era? What kind of happened in that time frame that made everything just get so bad? Obviously, there was all the cartoony stuff, but was it just Vince trying desperately to replace Hulk Hogan with like a different Hulk Hogan? Like, what happened in that time span that just made it go south?
I think you just explained it. I think there was only
more or less
Answer my own question.
You really did, because there's only one Hulk Hogan. I mean, that's just the way it is. Yeah.
And it's not Lex Luger.
No. And it's for a guy like that was so dominant and so. There's only one. There'll never be another one. You know what I'm saying? Like, just real quick, who I think is going to be one of the biggest WWE stars in a long time, and I think he's going to be around for a while, and I think this kid's going to be as big of a star as John Cena, Austin Theory.
I knew you were going to say Theory. I knew you were going to say
that.
Yeah,
and I think that is what they're going for.
That's what
I've repped him a lot on the indies. I think a lot of people don't realize that he had a lot to do with the WWE a couple of years before he actually got there. He went back out on the indies to get more experience. I mean, that kid was all over the place. And I was in, it's a funny story. I was in a match with him in Limitless Wrestling. Limitless Wrestling has a lot of 6-way matches. And so 6 people in the ring plus the ref. That's usually a tough time, but I usually just stay in the corner or whatever. And there was a certain move that was going to happen, if you will. And he said to me, watch this bump. It's the best stunner bump I've ever seen in my life. I mean, this kid took a stunner. He had to have gone 10 feet in the air, man.
Was it better than the WrestleMania one? He sold the WrestleMania one really good.
It was equivalent. It was. What I'm saying is, it's just like, you don't see that type of bump.
Nope.
And the kid's jacked,
Yep.
He's in great shape,
And he's young. He's what, 24?
Yeah.
I think so. These damn kids, man. Shit. I get in this business too late.
I just want to say, just to further on to the point about, the Hulk Hogan thing, obviously that's a big loss. I think another factor in it, though, a lot of which had a lot to do with it, was I think a lot of the culture changed around that time. I think, like, it's funny, like, especially like nowadays, like you have all these documentaries that kind of dive into that, like the documentary on Woodstock 99 and like, just like all these things. Yeah. And there's just like all these things that just like kind of talk about how like literally within the whole decade of the 90s, like the culture just shifted. And I think like kids were getting grown up quicker than they were in previous, like mentally grown up, like, like they're exposed to more. Right. And especially like nowadays, it's just gotten even worse because now every kid has a cell phone and they can just like, what's a dick look like?
That's what you go to.
All you parents giving your kids cell phones, you don't think about that, but yeah, they're Googling dicks while you're not around. That happens. So anyway,
edit button.
Anyway, like shit, these kids get exposed to everything now. And I think a lot of that started in the 90s. And I think that culture shift had a lot to do with the fact of how the campy and hokey stuff of the WWF of old wouldn't work anymore. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong about anything I just said. Tell me I'm wrong. I dare you. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me if you weren't a 13-year-old kid with a cell phone, you wouldn't be looking up boobies and vagina like it was your job.
It was the fact that I went with dick. Just right away. Just nothing else. Right into here's a cell phone.
That's
Thanks.
exactly not the fact that you said dick, just how you.
Did you see
Anyway,
Did you
back
see that
on the
Sasha
Well,
road,
hey,
Banks'
did
car
it
got broken into?
did it or did it not get my point across?
No, it did.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. You made your point.
Oh my god.
Did you see Sasha Banks' car got broken into in Oakland, California?
No.
Was
Oh, I heard
Oakland,
about
Oakland.
I heard about
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Was
And
it
I-
Marshawn? Did Marshawn do it? Was that what he
so
got
it was-
arrested for?
she had like
Same
it looked like
cars.
looked like it was some sort of an SUV, and the back window was smashed out. And she looks at the camera. She goes, 20 minutes in Oakland, and she goes, 20 minutes.
Yep.
I've never been to California, so I don't know how it is, but
I was about
I've
to say,
heard.
how far
I
is that
think-
from Compton?
It's
I
kind of
don't
far.
know.
Yeah,
Is
but
it-
Oakland's pretty much just as
Yeah.
bad.
Welcome to
Yeah, 'cause
Oakland,
I'm-
bitch.
Yeah.
Well, because I always used to talk about doing the Compton,
It's a
the,
fucking Chappelle
what's it?
reference again.
You're welcome.
Compton
Bingo
scavenger
card.
hunt.
The what scavenger hunt?
The Compton scavenger hunt.
Oh God, what is that?
Well, I mean, you just get things that you would find in Compton. Like, you get 5 points for a.
Don't make me edit.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Don't
say
do
you
it.
had-
Look at that! Look at that! That's a good job.
I was gonna say a street sign with a bullet hole in it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
No
Yeah,
edit button.
that's
You're
it.
good.
No.
You're good.
One
Mike,
task.
It's
chill.
it's a rough area for sure.
Yes.
Oakland and Compton are both rough areas, and
Yeah.
it's yeah. I can only imagine. I know Butler got his car stolen with everything he owned in it. In Las Vegas the first time he went to Vegas, which it's a friend of mine, Kevin, that these guys obviously know. But the first time he went out to Vegas, he was actually moving to California, and he stopped at Vegas, and his sister, who was already living in California, came out to Vegas to meet him, and his mom flew out from New York, and they all got together once he got to Vegas so they can just party and hang out for a weekend. While he was there, his car with everything he owned in it, because he was moving, was stolen, and he never got any of that shit back.
No kidding.
I've also heard
No
this.
shit.
My brother and sister-in-law just drove across country because they live in San Diego now. They just drove across country to like visit, and they were like towing a car they owned back, but they stopped. They know someone in Albuquerque, New Mexico. If you are moving and you have a like a trailer attached to your car with stuff in it, and you're at a hotel, people will steal that trailer. They'll leave your car, but they will steal your trailer with all your stuff in it and take it. So if you are moving, you are advised to not stay in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
You call it
No
a trailer. You call it a trailer. They call it a new meth lab.
Yeah.
Also true.
They're definitely on the lookout for meth labs down there.
Yeah. I had my car stolen at a wrestling show. I told that story last time, right?
Wait, car was stolen? No, go on. What?
Really?
Where?
It was Providence, Rhode Island, at the Davy Lopes Rec Center. And let's just say,
It's a rough hood.
yeah. Compton has they probably get along well, if you know what I mean. So my son was 11 years old. I was at a wrestling show for PWF. Me and my son used to go all the time. It was 11th birthday. I had all of his stuff in the trunk, like his presents, like, and yeah. And we get out of the show, and I'm walking back, and somebody's pissed off because there's windows smashed. I walk by one guy, his windows smashed. I walk by the next guy, like something stolen out of his car. And I look ahead and I see this empty spot. And I'm like, oh, fuck. So I start hitting, the panic button on the alarm to make the, beep so we can find it. And I'm like, make a beep. I don't hear anything. And part of the thing when we used to go places, I used to tell my son, I'm like, hey, remember this so we know where we park. And then we went right over to the spot. I said, oh, Dad must have forgot where we parked. No, Dad, there's the sign. Yep. And I'm like, no, I must have forgot. And then I'm like, I got a pit in my stomach.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I got my son for the weekend because I'm separated from his mom. And I'm like, oh, this is not good. So I call the cops, and the cops come down. And this little militant midget says to me, he's like, "What are you doing in this area?" I'm like, "What do you mean I'm doing this area? I'm at a wrestling show. Like, I know what you mean. Like, why I'm in this area, but I'm here for a wrestling show." Anyway, they found my car a couple days later, and they used it just for probably. They said they probably used it for drug runs, and it looked like it was in a demolition derby. It was just destroyed.
Wow.
Yeah, that was an interesting
That's
story.
brutal.
That's
That is
before I even
brutal.
got into wrestling. I should have known then. Stay the hell out.
Yeah.
Nah,
Oh, man.
wrestling. Nah,
That's
wrestling's
rough.
crazy, but
I
if you're in
mean,
it, you'll love it.
I mean, in our area, we used to have civics. I mean, obviously, we still have civic center shows all the time. But I mean, back in the day, WWF ran a lot of civic center shows, and it's Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
But
You know what it is. You know, the city.
Yeah.
to be
Yeah.
fair, the Civic Center, from the Civic Center down to the waterfront, is pretty okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
You start going further up,
It starts
You,
getting
like,
a little dangerous.
that's where, like,
Yeah.
we know, like, right, every town that that has bad areas, you know where they are. Usually they're contained to one area, which Poughkeepsie is like that. I'd say until you get out to where, it's not the Dubliner anymore, whatever it is now, Juan Murphy's.
Yeah. So hold on real quick. Did you guys ever hear about the time where me and John walked from Mahoney's to the Dubliner?
Oh my God, how did you do that?
It was about 2 a.m. We were pissed drunk. And he goes, this is obviously before he met his wife Vicky and all that other stuff. He goes, "Hey, there's this girl that I've been talking to. She's up at the Dubliner. She's got a friend up there. You want to go hang out with them?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah, let's go." How are we gonna get up there? We can't drive. We're fucked. Oh, there's no cabs out here waiting, and I don't feel like calling one. Let's hoof it. And that's what we did. And we walked up there at like 2 a.m. It took us about like an hour to get up there. And as we're walking up there, there's literally like people sitting on their stoops, just like looking at us like, "Are these white boys serious?" Like,
Oh
was,
shit.
it was a little scary. It was like, no, hold on. There was gunshots going off. Like, we were walking and there's gunshots going off. And all we hear is like every like 5 to 10 minutes, pop, 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 pop. And me and John are just like, that sounded kind of far. I think we're okay.
Yeah.
And we keep walking. Then we keep walking and we hear another pop, pop,
That's the correct
pop, pop.
reaction in Poughkeepsie.
And
Yep.
then John and I look at each other again and we go, that was a little bit closer. We might want to start hoofing it a little faster. Like, it was
Yeah.
scary, man. It was.
Yeah.
But we made it. We made it in one piece. We didn't get robbed. We didn't get shot. We didn't get beat up by anybody. There was no thugs
Did
around.
and you stayed on Main Street, like you didn't go like
just straight down Main
around.
Street. Straight
Okay,
down Main Street.
I know, like, not like where the arterial is. We're getting
Yeah.
so local here. Where the arterial is it's parallel. It's not any better, but I'm like, what road did you take?
Yeah, no, we walked right down Main Street. And if you for those who don't know, it's about, I want to say like what, probably at least like 2 miles, right?
Give or take, something like that.
So somewhere around there. So I'd say probably like 2 miles or so. So we walked the
Mhm.
whole way down at like 2 a.m, just shit face hammered, stumbling
Oh.
over each other. Like we were
Lucky.
ripe for the picking. If anybody wanted to rob us that night, that was the night to do it.
I was gonna say, lucky you didn't get hit.
Yeah,
that's
right.
what we thought the whole time. We were like, fuck it. If we get robbed, we get robbed.
Yeah.
I remember we went to an NXT house show in Albany and we were parking on the street near the Armory. Remember
Yeah,
that
that was
dude,
fun.
that dude came out of his apartment and be like, "You parked too close to my car. Move it up."
I don't remember that.
What?
I don't remember that.
You parked your car and you must have got way too close to this dude.
Oh yeah, no, I do remember that now. Yeah.
The dude like popped his head out of his window and was like, "You better move that car up."
Oh shit.
And I'm just like, what is? Well, they're doing.
What's going on?
Like they're doing shows here. Like what the hell are we? Like what the hell
Oh.
are we?
Let me tell you something about wrestling shows. They look for venues in those places because they're cheap.
That makes sense.
That does make sense.
Not just those. I don't mean those places. I mean
No,
wherever the worst, like the cheap.
Yeah,
I'll be
the
quiet.
worse the
Shut up.
neighborhood, the
That's
cheaper the
why they're
building.
in St. Louis a lot.
I'll be quiet.
No, but also, but it's not even bad.
Chicago.
But it's not even bad areas. How many wrestling shows are in like a high school gym or a church or a Knights of Columbus?
Firehouse.
Oh,
All
Knights
you
of-
know,
yeah.
like
yeah.
Denny's.
A Denny's.
I
No,
wrestled.
up, Denny's?
Wait. No, I'm
There's
sorry.
no-
That's hardcore show.
Yeah, no
sorry.
wrestling shows, but hardcore shows, yes.
Yes.
I wrestled.
The
I
fuck's up,
wrestled in
Danny?
a firehouse before.
I've wrestled in a firehouse before.
It was attached to the building I was wrestling. It was great. What's-
UWC used to run out of a firehouse, and that was like, so Old Time Wrestling was the school that I trained at, so we did shows every weekend. But UWC was like the other place that like I was a regular at, and they did shows usually about once a month. And
Yeah.
I got is a lot of fun. The people that were there were a lot of fun. You weren't getting paid anything. You were maybe getting a hot dog and a handshake.
Yeah.
But they were just so much fun to work like to just be around that I didn't mind.
Sure.
Oh,
I get it.
And the firehouse was just fun. The boys in the back were fun. Like not all of them were the best workers. Sorry if any of you listen, but you guys know this is the truth. I'm sure plenty of them would probably say the same about me, but whatever. But me and Andy had some really good matches there. We had a lot of fun there. And actually that was like later on because they moved out of the firehouse into a bar, which was even better because like we would go get loaded and then wrestle each other. Usually like because me and Andy got booked against each other there a lot because we always put on like the best match of the card.
Yep.
And every time we wrestled each other, we would just be like, all right, let's go to the bar, do some shots first and knock it out of the park. And that's what we did. We had a lot of fun.
I did a brewery show and
that's gotta be fun.
It was awesome. It was oh my goodness, man. I tell you, I wish I had a better memory. It was
that's our mind shot too.
Shane Douglas versus Ziggy Star, I think it was. Ziggy Star.
Ziggy Stardust?
Ziggy Stardust, yes. And they're wrestling.
David Bowie shows up at a wrestling show.
And I got freaking shots set up for him, and I got water set up. And the brewery show, dude, like like it's hard to explain to people that don't do it, but when you have a lot of fun at these places, like that's what it's about. You know what I mean? All this political bullshit, like, and that's the other thing about wrestling too. Like there was a story that I want to talk about, and it's like I've never talked about it, and it's something that happened, and it's legit, and it's the only reason I want to probably say it is because so it doesn't happen to like younger kids. You know what I mean? It's and it's like you gotta be so careful of what you say. Say it to, you know what? Nowadays, it's like I'm in my 11th year, and I'm 56 years old. I don't care. Like when I say I don't care, I don't say I don't care about wrestling. I love it. I love wrestling, and I'm pretty good at it, I think. And I can always be better. I'm always trying to improve. But it's just like, man, it's like fucking so damn political. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you got that story on the tip of your tongue whenever you wanna.
It's a story that I'll talk about it. It's a story about a company out here called MWF, and the owners passed away. Dan Murata, he passed away recently. He ran a show in Melrose Auditorium, and coincidentally, my brother works in Melrose at a tire company, and my brother actually knew him because his TV studio was across the street from the tire company. So it's funny, my brother would call me and say, hey, he's got Tony Atlas here, he's got Rhino here, he's got someone else here. And me and my son used to go to all the shows and stuff when I was a fan. So, I got into the business, and a friend of mine got me booked for the show. And I went, and I had a match. It was Playboy Jimmy Malonis, I believe. Yep. And he was working this guy, a friend of mine, McCool. But for some reason, it was a count out. The match was a count out. So the one match I do, I go out there and basically ring the bell, count to 10, and the match is over, right? I'm like, all right, that's the only match I had today. So that was a maybe we could do something down the road.
Yeah.
And then we go to the back, and Playboy Jimmy Malonis is a friend of mine. He walks over to Dan Tanaka. Dan Tanaka is a local rep out in this area who moved out to Detroit, who is coincidentally moving back. So when he hears this, he's probably going to be like, oh, shit, but it's time to pay the piper, buddy. So Seriously, this is a legit story, and like no bullshit, no exaggeration, no nothing. This is legit how it happened. So Playboy Jimmy Malonis went up to him and said, "Hey, man, Quinn just had a count out match. Like, can we give him another match?" And Dan Tanaka said, "Nope." And Jimmy looked at him and said, "Dan, like, let's give him another match." And he's like, "Nope." And he's like, so I'm like, I'm green as grass at the time. So you know how it is when you're green, CJ, you shut up and you just whatever, you read
Do what
whatever,
you're
and
told.
just thank you. And Jimmy said to me, he goes, "Don't worry about it. I'll get you another match." And I'm like, cool. So I had my son with me too. So my son's out with my friend in the audience, and I'm doing my thing. And we go to lunch. So the promoter says, "Hey, can you be back by this certain time?" Listen, I'm an adult. When I say to be back, in wrestling that I'm going to be back 10 or 15 minutes before he tells me to be back, just in case and just to be safe. So I get back, and all of a sudden, these two refs, and the other ref, his name is Tony Stevens. He's a local ref around here. He's 6'4". He's literally the Jolly Green Giant, but he thinks he's, God's gift to reffing. I'm going to get some heat for this, but I'm just telling you how I feel. I worked with Tony a lot at Chaotic Wrestling, and we got along. He actually called me Earl Hebner, and I called him something else, and we did the gimmick and we got along and stuff. But this story is something that, So anyway, we go to lunch and I come back. Now I all of a sudden I missed this alleged ref meeting. I'm like, how did I miss a meeting? I'm back like 12 minutes early. Like, how did I miss a meeting? And the promoter says, "All right, you have to go up and do security." I go, "What? No, I'm getting dressed now. I'm already half dressed." And the promoter's like, "You can't get dressed. You can't get dressed. You gotta go up and you gotta go do security." And I'm like, what the fuck's going on here? I know I'm new to the business, but I'm not new to the world,
Yeah.
So I go up to security. So I go up to the people that he assigned me to. You ready for this? Devon Dudley, Bobby Lashley, Bubba Ray Dudley, Hardcore Holly.
Wow.
So I go over to Devon because I know Devon. And Devon's, "What's up, man?" I go, "The promoter sent me up here to do security." And he looks at me and goes, "For real, what's up?" And I go, "Devon, I'm telling you, the promoter sent me up to do security." "Bubba, come here." He says, "The promoter sent him up here to do security." Bubba looks at Devon. He says something to Devon. Says, "Somebody's fucking with you. Go back down there." So I go back down and I go, "Dude, you set me up to fucking monsters to do security." He goes, "You have to leave." And I go, "What?" He goes, "You have to leave. I'm sorry. I'll talk to you later. I'll message you." I go, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "You just have to leave." And he goes, "The other refs, there's an issue. You got to leave." And I go, "Well, I'm going to go talk to the other refs." He goes, "I don't know. You probably shouldn't do that." So I'm going to leave the person's name out of this that helped me out because he's got something good going in wrestling and I don't want to drop heat to him. So anyway, he's a big guy. He's like a kingpin sized guy. If that tells you anything. And I walked towards him. I was going in that other room. I was going to find out what the fuck happened. And he stood in front of me and he said, "Go home." He goes, "I don't have any pull here, but I have pull somewhere else." So I'm leaving. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I take my son and I go, "Come on, we gotta leave." He goes, "Daddy, the show's not over." And anyway, we leave and I'll leave everything else out. I'll cut to the chase. I found out that the two refs, Tony Stevens and Dan Tanaka, provided all the championship belts for the show. And they told the promoter that if you don't kick Quinn off, tell Quinn to go home, we'll leave you with all of the belts.
Wow.
That in wrestling, and CJ don't know what I mean. That's
Wow.
a shoot.
That's crazy, man. Like,
Yeah, and I'm actually pissed off now.
yeah, you should be.
Just
So
talking about it.
what was the whole sending you up at security thing? Was that like some kind of setup or something? Like, what was
Yeah,
that all about?
it was just a
Just to
ploy to
make you
try
look
to get.
stupid?
I think the promoter didn't know what to do, to be honest with you, because these guys worked for the promoter for a long time, a hell of a
Yeah.
lot longer than I did.
And
And he did
were they just worried about you taking their spot? Is that what it is? Like they were just
absolutely.
that's silly.
These
That's so
guys
silly.
feared the jacked up old guy coming in and doing a good job. I am getting so much heat for this, but You know what, man? I finally
Fuck 'em.
said the story.
right.
And you know, it's not. It's just like I try to be professional,
Yeah.
and you know, I try to do everything the right way. So the story expands. So I used to work for this company called Lucky Pro out in Clinton, Mass, where Chris Sullivan is, and Tony Stevens is the head rep for them. So guess who started? Guess who got unbooked?
Oh boy.
Because
Me.
Tony Stevens is the general manager
Mhm.
and he's the head rep out there. So I got unbooked from that. But anyway, that was a story that's been on my mind for a long time. I've told my inner
So this dude
circle.
literally just has heat with you because you're good at your job. That's
Yeah,
what,
seriously.
that's what it sounds like.
And I mean, I'm just gonna say we all have opinions on it, and it is what it is. It's just it's like what? Come on, man!
Yeah,
Like
that's
you know what?
ridiculous.
And you know what? If I'm gonna get heat, I'm gonna go all the way. So he's about 6'4", and he went down to the WWE, and he paid for a tryout. And then he walked in and I said, "You here for a referee?" And he goes,
They're never hiring him.
you're way too tall, but if you want to do the tryout, go ahead."
They're never hiring. They're
Yeah,
never gonna
and
hire a referee that makes their wrestlers look small.
Right.
They're just never gonna do that.
and I
Irony.
might actually ask you to edit this out, but
Yeah,
it's
sure.
it's just it's one of those. Well, he has friends. He has good friends that are friends with me. This is how you get heat and stuff. But at the end of the day, you know what? This is a real story. This has happened, and we're done. We can be done talking about it. But let's talk about that clip. Have you seen that reel on my timeline with me pushing AR Fox?
No.
Yes.
I've kind of been off social media now, so
Skylar, you saw
I'm
it?
missing a lot now.
That's when that was when you got infected by Hulkamania, right?
When I ripped my ref shirt
You
off. But
just
the reason
fucking
I'm
rip your ref shirt off, and you're just like, "Come on, motherfucker!"
so, dude, like this
I
might
was
not
thumbnail,
mean
just
by the
like,
way.
"Coach Quinn, let's go!"
might not mean a lot to a lot of other people, man. Fucking thing has 1.8 thousand like views.
That's awesome.
That's
It's
great.
really awesome, man. Like, whoa, shit. I feel like I threw us off
Dude,
track with that story.
I'm
I got
not.
fired up.
No, that's awesome, dude.
No, that's
and like,
good.
and I'll tell you, man. Like, especially when you're looking at like a local scale and stuff like that. Like when you can get over 1,000 views from working at a like just doing a little indie wrestling angle,
Yeah.
that's good, man. That's
Oh
awesome.
yeah. I've never come even close to that.
Yeah, like I know like like the music and stuff like that, like with the stuff I put out and stuff like that, whenever I get like I'll get like a few hundred and I'll be like, oh man, all right, people are checking this out. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I
Yep.
have one video that does have like I think a couple thousand views, but like I also like I paid to get that promoted. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
threw $20
Yeah.
at Facebook and they threw it in people's feeds. So of course it's going to
Right.
get more views.
Right.
But like even like when I put something out on my own and it starts getting up to like 150, 200, 250,
Mhm.
I look at it like, all right, that's kind of cool, like
Right.
I'm just a guy, you know what I mean? Like I'm just one
Yeah.
guy and like there's like hundreds of people
Well,
checking out what I'm doing. That's pretty cool to me.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like
Fine.
we throw a couple bucks here and there at some stuff we put out, but it sometimes you'll fall into like an endless pit of just like, all right, I got how much do I got to keep doing this? I got to keep doing this. I got to keep doing this, and then
No.
Yeah.
but no, listen, something like that. That's we got to make a clip like that for this podcast and get it out there. Someone just ripping their
Yeah.
shirt off and nothing.
Oh man, that was I asked to do that. I did, and it was
that's
pretty
cool.
cool.
People pop for
But
like when the refs, like even back, like Earl Hebner pushing Triple H
Yep.
over and stuff. Like people still watch that to this day. You get a clip like that, people are into it.
I bumped Earl Hebner on the show. I think I told that story last time. I think I told that story, right?
I think so. There were
Yeah,
there were so many great stories that
that
it's
I
like
told
not
that
I don't
story.
remember, but
That was a good one. Yeah, that was a good one. It's just like I love what I do, and I work for good companies. And Northeast Wrestling, who's let's just be honest. I work for 3 companies now. I work for Chaotic Wrestling. I work for Beyond Wrestling. I work for Northeast Wrestling, and I actually work for Women's Revolution too, which is a offshoot of Beyond Wrestling. But nobody's ever flown me anywhere except for NEW. Nobody's ever paid me, a good 3-figure payday other than NEW. So Mike Lombardi, thank you. But also Drew Cadero's given me a home for 11 and a half years. Thank you. Chaotic Wrestling's given me a home almost since I started. Thank you. Chase Delmonte has to deal with me, and he's a trip because we go at it in pre-show meetings all the time. Because he'll put something on the sheet like referee, like Grandpa Quinn, or just Quinn's still kicking, so I guess we got to give him a match or just something crazy. Something crazy.
You gotta
They
have a
have
little fun with it.
they have a show. They have a show tomorrow night, but I'm taking this week off.
Oh, all right.
I'll be back at the next one. But yeah, wrestling's awesome, man. But it's like I'm saying, that story. It's like that was the reason that I never told it before is because I didn't know where my career was going. I didn't know what opportunities I was going to get. I didn't want that to come back and bite me in the ass. And now it's to the point where I'm pretty established. People know who I am. I wouldn't just tell a story like that if it was a crock of shit. It's just those two guys are gonna. I'm sure the unfriend button will be hit pretty quick.
Hey, I don't think there's ever any problem with telling the truth about how you're treated, especially in something like this where in wrestling you deal with, and you deal with dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of different people throughout the year. You're dealing with superstars that have literally been to the top of the mountain. You're dealing with guys who are just starting out. You're dealing with guys who have been doing it for 20 years and never got anything out of it. So they're just grizzled, old, pissed off veterans.
Yeah.
You have all these
There's
characters.
a lot of those.
There's a lot of those, of course.
Yeah.
So you're dealing with a lot of different characters, egos, machismos, whatever you want to call it. They're all in the same room together. And people are not always going to like each other. That shit happens. Like even in the OTW locker room, I can tell you that like not 100% of the guys all got along with each other all the time.
Yeah. Well, there's always as locker rooms are cliquey.
Yeah. 100%.
And you know why there's heat in wrestling?
Because they're scumbags in wrestling.
No, well,
there's heat in everything, man.
But do you know why there's heat? Do you know why like two wrestlers have heat?
Usually jealousy.
Because two adults can't sit down and like talk and work things out.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely
it's
right.
Like, and you know what? Let's switch channels for a quick second. As far as referees go, the professional jealousy is like, come on, man. It's like, yes, I'm old. Yes, I'm 56 years old. Yes, I've been in some pretty high profile matches. And it's like other people get mad and like they get upset. Like, you go to a place and you got a main event, you see the other ref in that huddle room, and you know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's like that's when you go and say, "What's up, guys? Oh, hey, how you doing, man? What's going on?" It's like,
but it's I don't know why I just don't understand it. Like, I guess like it's just never been in my nature to be jealous of other people's successes. Like I've never felt that way. Like even the people I really don't like, I'm not gonna hate on them for being successful. I'll hate on them for other reasons. But I don't think there's anything wrong with telling the truth about how you're treated. I don't think there's anything wrong with calling people out when they're being selfish.
When they need to be.
When they need to be
called.
And obviously in your case, this is what it sounds like, because you're just a guy who happens to be good at his job. And
you know what? I'll add one more part to that story. When I first started at Chaotic, they both were refs there. And I believe Tony was the senior rep. And I believe Dan ended up doing his heel gimmick before he left for Michigan or whatever. Yeah, I might be wrong on that. So I remember one of my first nights there, I went over to the locker room and I'm changing and I'm looking. So I see the two refs. So obviously I'll change with the refs. They get up and move.
So it was like right off the bat.
Right off the bat, right? So a veteran of the locker room, all I heard is, "Quinn, get over here, change with us." And these were all like the bigger guys at the shows, if you will. So it's just like right from the beginning, and I've had it in other places. I mean, I used to work with this one ref, and I'll leave his name out because he's just a school teacher in New York and he's just having fun or whatever. But when I first started, I'd be at a show and it's like, "Oh, you're not ready for this match. Oh, I'm not ready for this one. I'm not ready for this one." And it's like, yeah, okay. And I think the thing with Tony, I think the thing that really burned his ass, and I ended up being the senior rep. And I think that really kind of got him. And he did the flyers and stuff like that.
But the fact that they did it right off the bat, man.
Yeah, hold on one second.
Yeah, sorry.
but no, it's okay. I only want to say this, but I get forgetful. And I have no problem, and I'm being straight up serious here, man. And I'm not saying confrontational or anything like that. I have no problem, like, say, coming on a show like this and doing a three-way, like having all of us on and airing this all out and putting it to bed and shaking hands and moving on. Seriously, like, all kidding aside, there was a point where I went to punch them both in the face.
That sounds like
And
an opportunity for another episode. I'm just saying.
I'm
Do
throwing
a
that out there,
little there, you know.
doing a little marketing for the old Quinn name,
I like it. I like it.
But it's like, dude, and that's the other thing too. There's a lot of keyboard warriors out there, and then you get to a locker room. It's like, the guy don't like it, and or whatever. Not me. I'm lucky. I don't think I have heat in my soul. Not. I probably will in about 7 hours, but no, I'm just kidding. But it's all good. I want to touch on something real quick too, if I can.
Yeah.
There's a guy named Steve Ricard. He owns Top Rope Promotions out in Fall River, Mass, I believe is where it's based out of. And he's run it for a long time. It's a long-standing promotion. And he's the first person that paid me. And he's the guy that taught me how to get paid in wrestling. I wrote that down to say it because, I wanted to thank him. And this is funny how it happened. I was basically working for Beyond Wrestling. I wasn't getting paid. And I worked for him. And he gave me an envelope. I was like, oh, shit. I was out of wrestling school. I go, shit, an envelope. All right. Now we're talking. So
I remember my first envelope. That's a good feeling. That's a good feeling.
I got to be honest.
Holy shit! There's 25 whole bucks in here. I could pay for gas.
Yeah, I might
I
even
can
still have
eat
that
today.
envelope. So, but
shit, we're getting king size on the way home.
Absolutely, we're going to McDonald's tonight.
Super size
that
bitch.
So I go to take the envelope, and he doesn't let go of it. He pulls it back.
No.
Yeah. And honestly, he says to me, he goes, why should I pay you? And I go, because I get paid. He goes, so you can look me in the eye and tell me that the other companies you work for, you get paid. And I go, yep, can't do that. And so he paid me. And he goes, whatever's in that envelope, he goes, that's the minimum that you should work for any of the companies that are around. So I called Beyond and I said, hey, man, I just had a little situation over here. They aren't going to pay me because I don't get paid by you. And so I need to start getting paid if I can. No, okay. There's certain promoters out there that don't think reps should get paid. It is what it is. So we negotiated a little bit and I got a little bit of money. And 10 years later, I still should be paid a lot more there. But the opportunities I get there, the moments that I get there, and the people that I've met and I've got to know very well, like the Bobby Orlando's and the Shook Crew and all those guys, man. They Bobby Orlando, man. There's certain people in wrestling where you shake hands, there's certain people in wrestling where you give a guy a hug. And there's certain people in wrestling that's like, get over here. And Bobby Orlando's one of them. And I think so that kid's really good.
How often that comes up on the show, that exact phrase? Because you're not the only one who said it, but I know you said it the last time you were on here, and I know we've had other guests say it before too. There's people in wrestling you shake hands with, and there's people in wrestling you hug, and it is 100% a fact. Because as cliche as the whole brother thing is in wrestling, there are really people that are brothers, and then there are people that are really your brothers, and those people, the ones that you really are tight with in the locker rooms. Those make it a lot more worth it. When you're in a locker room or working for a promotion you're not necessarily happy with, at least if you have those people in the locker room with you, it makes it a little better for you.
Way better. And it's all about you. Like when you're traveling too, it's all about the people you're traveling with. And those are the people 100%. That you bond with. Those are people that you're stuck on the road with all weekend. And you're yelling at each other. And your phone's ringing because your wife's pissed at you. The dog just shit on the floor. And, you try. You're driving.
There's a 16-time world champ almost taking a shit in his own pants.
Man, and then you're driving 9 hours for $40. You're like, fuck. But it's God. Like wrestling is a lot of it. What you. Whoa! I think I forgot to say something. Did I forget to tell you guys that I've been making my GCW debut?
Oh,
in November.
You better get some
Yes.
of those mechanics gloves, man. They got a lot of
Oh, I'm
broken
gonna
glass
get.
in that
I'm gonna
ring.
get like an armored suit. I'm gonna have it custom made,
There
and it's
you
just
go.
gonna
Now you're
say. It's
thinking.
just gonna. It's just gonna say Quinn.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah. So I'm really excited. I know Brett Lauderdale. I've worked one. Actually, I've done one match for GCW, and I was at Joey Janella spring break,
Okay.
and it's in New York. I remember because I parked in some sketchy area on a side street, and the reason that
GCW
I
show.
parked, yeah, and the reason that yes, and the reason that I parked, it was like the Eagle or something, maybe, yeah. Anyway, um, so I did one match for him, and it was Joey Janela versus Marco Stunt, and they were both coming back for injuries, and they both went out. They went outside to the ring, and they didn't move off the apron. And let's say in wrestling, not everything goes as planned. And Marco got back in the ring a little bloodied up, and we went home soon after.
That will
And
happen.
excuse me,
sometimes.
I forgot my second match.
Ooh.
It was Virgil
Oh no.
dressed dressed
No.
up in a,
No.
dressed up in a pink bunny suit versus Ethan Page.
Virgil went over.
And
Virgil went over, right?
of course,
Yeah, because
Okay.
Virgil's not taking bookings where he has to do the job, right? There's no way. There's like
no,
no
I
world where
don't.
Virgil's doing a job for anybody.
I think they just let him do it just to help him out, you know.
No, but that's my point.
Please
Is like
explain the bunny suit.
So I don't know what the hell the bunny suit was. It had something to do
did
with
he
the
bring that
company or
himself?
something. I'm not sure. So
Virgil just shows up like they're like, "Where's the $1 million belt?" And he's like, "I don't got
so
that. I got this bunny suit though."
so all as I know is I'm in the ring, and Virgil comes in, rolls them up, count three. I count three. I said, "What about ringing the bell?"
That's
I
insane.
somehow tried to get the bell rung there.
And I bet you he probably like asked like $200 for that.
Oh, he came back and he was telling all the
200. That's
stories.
it.
Well, I mean, are you gonna pay Virgil more than that to just show up and roll up a guy?
No,
Man.
but I mean, I personally won't. But
I don't.
I gotta tell you, that's the night that I think Bryce Remsburg got signed. He didn't get signed that night, but I think this particular match helped get him signed. He did an Invisible Man match.
I've seen clips of that.
Oh,
That's it's in.
I caught the Invisible Guy off the rafters. Um, he did
Wait,
a
that was
dive
you.
off.
Oh shit! I got to go back and watch this because I didn't.
He did a
Oh,
he did a dive off the rafters. And it was five of us, right? So you want to laugh, right? We're in this fucking stinky beer smelling place, right? Now I'm a recovering alcoholic. So the floor is covered in fucking beer. And I'm like, ain't no way I'm going on that floor, man. So I grabbed like 3 or 4 fans and I go, hey, do me a huge favor, get behind me. And I'm gonna push you back and we're all gonna fall. Yeah.
oh yeah,
So
perfect
so
crowd.
he came back and caught it. We caught him and we all fell back. I never even touched the floor. I got up and I was extremely thankful. Because seriously, like I did not want to be rolling around. Shit.
No, I don't blame you.
You know,
I can
but
tell you, just to being in gear, having to roll around on those floors, it was never fun.
right.
You always come
But
back to like just like with dirt and grime on you, and then the smell of beer and sweat and just
yeah.
it's
It's
not
like
fun.
and now you get a 7-hour ride home. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, where's those?
Right.
And you pull your baby wipes and you grab your last one and you're like, fuck. You know,
That's
that's I
when
actually
you got
had
to hit the Wawa.
yeah. Oh, all right. Here's a big question. Big question. Neither one of these are out my way, so I don't know if both of these are out your way, but I know at least one of them are. Wawa or Sheets?
Yep.
Wawa.
Sheets is
Wawa.
well. Wawa is Sheets, Pennsylvania.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
Now I've only been to Sheets like maybe once or twice. Like I'm not as familiar with Sheets as Wawa, but I will tell you that like Wawa was my favorite part about wrestling in New Jersey. Like just getting to go to a Wawa every week, and whether it was like we always stopped at a Wawa at least like once, and whether it was like we'd get a full meal there, or sometimes we'd hit it on the way home and just get gas and snacks. But like every time I would always get one of those cream cheese filled pretzels. And then if I was getting food there, I would get either the chicken tender bowl with the mashed potatoes, or if it was around Thanksgiving time, the gobbler bowl, because that is the king of gas station food, by the way. If you haven't had a gobbler bowl from Wawa, you will never get any better gas station food in your life.
I don't think I've actually had a goblet bowl from that.
Oh, dude, it's a whole Thanksgiving meal in a bowl. It's mashed potatoes, turkey, gravy, corn, and I think cranberry sauce, and they just throw it all in a bowl.
You just made me drop the phone. Holy Moses. That was
Um,
pretty good. Thank you for that.
Kevin, what's your I mean, when you go into one of these places, what's your go-to drink, go-to snack or food?
Well, I can't. I have had some issues with energy drinks, so I have to totally stay away from them. I just try to grab a water. I just try to grab like a Quest cookie or something like that. I've had some dental issues, so the protein bars are tough. But yeah, I try to stay out of those places a lot. And I am so fortunate because Lisa, my fiance, packs me a nice bag like when I travel. She takes really good care of me. But before I would go in and grab a couple of Rockstar energy drinks and bag of chips or whatever.
Yep.
But I actually, when I traveled with Cody Rhodes, he took me to a gas station. I told that story, right?
Oh,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, the beef jerky and
and the cheese and
the piece of fruit. Yep.
Yeah. Like I wrote it down. I have it written down in the gear bag actually.
I mean,
but some of I gotta tell you, some of these places you go though, I don't know, man. Some of this shit is
some of them there's a lot of gas stations where you're not going to find any kind of fruit or any kind of fresh anything, but you just make do with what you can. But
don't laugh at me when I say this. You guys have Cumberland Farms down there, right?
Yeah.
Of course, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Cumbies.
You ever drink their coffee?
Yes.
No, I don't drink coffee.
I mean, if I usually don't frequent, but I would if I did. Yes.
So I travel with a guy called Crockett. He's a commentator up this way. He's actually very good. And I'm a Dunks guy. And he's just a coffee guy. He drinks a lot of coffee, drinks black coffee. And he's like, why go to Dunks and pay like $3? We go here, it's $1.10. What? So we went on the way home. We got this big coffee for $1.10 and drink it. And, oh shit. This is good. This is good. Because on the road, CJ will tell you, you want to try to not spend your pay on the way home.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, most of the time I wasn't getting paid. So for me, it was for me, it was always a loss. It was always a wash no matter what. But like I said, Wawa's was definitely a big one. Like we would go to like Wawa for one meal, and then we'd usually either hit a fast food place or like an actual like restaurant and get something legit, like depending on how we were feeling after a show. If we
diner, gotta go to a diner.
Or like they had this restaurant down by where we wrestle called Nifty 50s, which is like it's like an old 1950s burger theme joint. And they make their own sodas there. They have like a soda fountain that has like 50 different flavors of soda. So you can get like a chocolate cherry Coca-Cola, and they will just mix it and make a chocolate cherry Coca-Cola.
Shit.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And they have like tons of combinations, so you can do whatever you want. But that was like one of the places we used to like a lot. But like, yeah, it really is like when you're not trying to spend money, when you're like not trying to blow through your pay or just spend money like I was, that's when things like Wawa and stuff like that come in handy, because like you can go in there with a $10 bill and usually get a meal, like not just like chips and a soda, like you can get a meal and spend like $10 and you're good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Hey, I tell you guys last time about I did a match in Norwich, Connecticut for NEW. It was JT Dunn and Christian Casanova against John Moxley and Darby Allin.
No.
I'm not sure. I call it the thunderstorm match because it started raining.
Oh, wow.
So, so I don't have to.
About this.
I did?
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say no. Yeah,
I remember thunderstorm match.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. So it was a little moist during the day, so the ring's a little slippery. And so I get in the ring and I check everything. So as they come in, I'm telling them, like, it's a little slick in here, be careful. And all of a sudden it starts raining a little bit. And Mox is like, all right, we're getting rocking and rolling here. All of a sudden there's thunder. Now all of a sudden there's lightning. All of a sudden I hear, fuck this, oh. The match went quickly.
Yep.
It just it was incredible. We're out there and all of a sudden there's thunder. And there's like a couple of thunders, and I go by Mox and I go, what are we doing? He goes, I got it. Like, I got to tell you, man, he is a workhorse.
Yeah,
He
he
is a-
seems to like just take every booking he can right now.
he did a run in Poughkeepsie. I don't know if it was the last show or the show before that. I apologize. He was sober, so it had to have been the last one. And it was like a last minute thing. I mean, it happened at like 12:30 at night. He got the call and got on the plane, and he just made it happen. And I happened to have got like literally 6 seconds with him in the locker room. And I know him a little bit because I did a weekend with him at Six Flags a couple of years ago. So I just stopped him real quick and I just, hey, John, I go, Kevin, I don't know if you remember me, but I just want to say, proud of what you're doing. I got my 32-year recovering alcoholic. And he was going, and he stopped and he turned and he fist bumped me. And he goes, we'll talk. And then he did his deal and his car was waiting out back and he literally left with no shirt and just left. Like, the guy is just incredible, man. And when I worked with him at Six Flags for the weekend, he had just gotten back from Japan. So he's all beat up. And like he's taking his tincture like to try to help. His arm was all messed up. And the good thing is that he doesn't talk very much. So the meet and greets with the fucking balls, they were so fast and quick. It was great. It's like, picture go. And people were like, he told me, he's like, hey, I don't have to stand up. That would be great. But then he literally was banged up. So people were like, hey, you going to stand up for the picture? I'm like, nah, I'm not going to stand up today. We're just going to take it. No, I'm paying $50. He's going to stand up. And I'm just looking over and he'd stand up, you know what I mean? It's like, meet and greets are my favorite part, but some of the fans, man,
Yeah,
I can imagine.
I
yeah.
think a
And
lot of these
don't get
people
me wrong. I know that without the fans, there's no wrestling because we found
Yeah.
out how fast they can quit. They can
There's a
stop
line,
the
though.
pandemic.
They forget that
Absolutely.
these people are human beings. Like they don't like.
Yes. Yeah.
I think people believe like, oh, since I paid money, you're here for me and you are mine for
Well,
whatever time I'm allowed to have you. You're
Right.
mine,
Yeah.
and that's it's we're all human beings. Like you're never going to own another person, no matter what time or no matter how much you pay for it. Like,
Yeah.
but I think like in the mind of a wrestling fan, like I'm buying this time with you. You belong to me now,
No.
and it's a shitty way of fucking thinking.
It happened. It's very seldom. I've dealt with it a couple times, and it's like, because obviously it's good cop, bad cop. They're the good cop. I'm
Right.
the bad cop, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
And it's
Which
like
that's
I've
what
had
you got to do.
absolutely, and I've had to move people along. And I had one incident where the guy didn't want to move along, and it was in Mid Hudson Civic Center, and there was a cop. Literally, we had a police officer there, and I made his eye contact, and I'm like this, and he immediately came over. I said to the guy, I go, we can do this one of 2 ways. I go, we can do this the easy way or the hard, but you tell me what you want to do. What you going to do, man? I said, I'm not going to do anything. I go, he's going to do something. So the guy turns around, he goes, what? Oh. And I was in,
Hey,
there's
bud.
no need for that shit.
And I'll be on my way.
Right.
Exit
I
stage
mean,
left.
I'll tell you, this is another real quick story. I got to work with Braun Strowman at the Mid Hudson Civic Center in the meet and greet. And that's the first outside of WWE meet and greet that he had done. So he didn't do meet and greets because they always kept him hidden in the back because they built him as a monster, right?
Yeah.
So he signed and everything, and I had to explain to him and his agent, like, I'm the bad guy, you're the good guy, like anything about my country, refer them to me so you don't have to deal with it. And so I had one guy, he was selling his CYN t-shirts, or something like that. He was selling t-shirts.
Control your narrative.
I think so, yeah.
CYN.
So they were $20 each. So this guy bought 5 of them, right? So $100, right? So this guy shit face is trying to give me $500. Literally has 5 $100 bills. I'm like, dude, like, no. You only have no, man. I bought this much in shirts. So I looked over at the agent. I go, how many shirts did he buy? He goes, 5. So I take 100 and I put it away. And I grabbed the 4 and I'm like, dude, like, you got to take this money back. Like, you didn't buy this. So I literally just gave it to him and walked away. And I went back over. And Strowman's like, what just happened? And I said, that dude wanted to give me the money. I said, I would never have taken it. He said, we would have had a problem if you took it. And I'm like, no, I would have never taken it. He is a nice guy. He's a gentle giant. One of the funniest things I remember about him, every time I gave him a bottle of water,
Yeah.
one sip.
That makes
every
sense.
time.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
every time. What a great guy, though. Great guy. Got a little off track there, sorry.
No, please.
it's
We're
not-
listen. We're
there is
we're
no
shooting
off
the
track.
no. We're enjoying just shooting the shit.
We're just
and
this is just shooting wrestling with Kevin.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
we
story time.
shot a
Where's
little
Quinn?
while ago.
little.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
that's true. We really were shooting
Big
with
time,
Kevin
big
earlier.
shoot.
Oh,
Little shoot from the
that's
hip
gonna.
there.
You know what? All kidding aside, I'm gonna be interested in the backlash.
We'll see.
Whatever.
Listen, I'm gonna post it if someone wants to respond. If someone wants to come on here and hash things out, listen. This is open.
Come, we'll do a whole little mediation group. It'll be great. Skylar will like read a poem to start us off. It'll
I
be fun.
offer it. I offer it right now.
Hey, the olive branch has been extended. Now it's up to
And
them
so
to take
and
it.
so is the hand. So is the hand.
That's true. That's true.
And
And now it's up to them to accept it.
why hold grudges? You know, it happened so long ago. Just people probably like, why are you telling it now?
Life is short, man.
Because I can.
It's true.
You know?
You're saying it now because you should. In my opinion, and this is just me. In my opinion, you have every right to say what you
Yeah.
said today. But I mean, I'm a little biased.
Hey, thank you.
I'm
Thank
a
you,
little
thank you.
biased. I'm a podcast host looking for content.
There you go. Thank you.
true.
But in all honesty,
Oh, wait,
man,
Michael.
like
Wait a minute. TJ, who?
No, in all fairness, though, I like I said, man, like I don't think there's anything wrong with telling the truth about how people are, because I can tell you, man,
Yeah.
I got, I was never treated like horribly like that, but I definitely have stories where I definitely felt like I didn't get the respect I deserved in wrestling, and it's
Yeah.
unfortunate because I feel like there was guys who didn't want to give me a shot. They saw me and just didn't. I don't know. They didn't like my look. Man, I was overweight, so I
Yep.
was a big guy. I was always a big guy, but like didn't mean I couldn't work. I was just a big guy, but they never wanted to give me a chance for some reason or
Yeah.
whatever. Some promoters. I'm not saying all, obviously.
What if Tom Brady never got a chance?
Yeah, that's what. Yeah,
Well,
Right?
sore
'Cause
subject for you.
Because I'm Tom Brady.
I mean, what happened? What happened if Bledsoe never got hurt? Would there be a Tom Brady?
You wouldn't be a miserable Jets fan for the last ever.
So I gotta say this.
I forgot I'm talking to New York people. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go
No.
Giants.
Yeah,
No,
not
but
me.
here's the funny thing. They're both Giants fans. I'm the only Jets fan, so I'm the only one who really suffered the wrath of Brady. But
I'm an NFL fan.
We
Let's
vanquished
put it
him
that way.
twice.
yep. But I will say this: what people don't remember, but I remember, and me and my brother remember very, very clearly, is the game where Drew Bledsoe got injured was against the Jets, and it was it was Mo Vaughn, who I think it was Mo Vaughn. It was either
No,
Mo Vaughn or
definitely-
Marvin Lewis.
It definitely wasn't Mo
No,
Vaughn.
not Mo Vaughn. Not Mo Vaughn. Wow.
I didn't
said
want
Mo
to say
Vaughn.
anything.
I'm sorry, Mo Vaughn. Wow. That's a throwback, man. Like remember Tom Payne's obsession with Mo Vaughn back in the day? But anyway, I digress.
I'm
not
not.
Mo Vaughn.
I'm
wow.
not. I'm not saying that joke on this podcast.
Marvin Lewis. I'm sorry, Marvin Lewis. Brian. No, it wasn't Brian Cox. Who was it? It might have been Marvin Lewis. I can't remember now. Ah, shit. I'm drawing a blank now, and it's funny because like I'm gonna remember the name as soon as we're done recording this, and I'm gonna be like, wow, that was dumb of me. But anyway, it was against the Jets. I remember that clear as day, and I remember like
Mo
for
Lewis,
years, me
by
and
the
my
way.
brother. Mo Lewis, there we go. Mo Lewis. Why did I say Marvin Lewis? Marvin Lewis is the coach of the Bengals, right? Wow.
You
I'm
had.
really
You
fucking
had.
up
You.
names today.
You were.
I was
you were on
combining
right
the
track.
names. That's what it was. Mo Vaughn and Marvin Lewis. Mo Lewis injured him. That's right. So that's where I pulled both those names from, I'm sure. But anyway, now that I just made myself look like a complete idiot, me and my brother for years said after that, we were just like, imagine if Mo Lewis never fucking injured Drew Bledsoe. Where like, would we have ever seen Tom Brady? Like, would we have had to suffer this last 15 years if that play never happened? But that's just
You
the what
never know.
if. The what if, you know?
That's like in wrestling. The young guy gets a spot somewhere and shines, and all of a sudden, it's like that's one of the things about Beyond Wrestling.
Kofi Mania was a totally,
What if?
Absolutely. He trained at the
what
school I
if
trained at.
organic thing.
What if the curtain call doesn't happen and Triple H doesn't get punished and Steve Austin doesn't take that King of the Ring spot in
Yep.
'96 and we
That's
don't get
another
Austin
thing.
316?
Yep.
It's
Everything is
just
meant to
it's
happen.
that butterfly
Mhm.
effect, man. Just like these little things, just like they changed everything when you look at
Yep.
it that way.
It's
Mhm.
wrestling is crazy, man. The things that happen. You just need an opportunity, and that's something that, man, I could never get. I told that ROH story last time. And, You know, I used to talk to Bob Ryder from TNA. He's passed away now, unfortunately, but you know, I used to message him every 2 or 3 months, and he'd respond right back. We're all set. You know, and then you know, I did a Beyond show with we partnered with it was a Women's Revolution show, I think maybe, and we partnered with that new company that Maria Kanellis and Bobby Cruz are running out this way, and I was hoping to get a shot at that. I didn't, but hopefully, if they run again, maybe I can. But it's like companies are weird.
Mm,
It
yeah.
is really who you know, how wrestling really is. And they say, you know, don't make friends with people that won't stand up in a room and vouch for you. It's like I know so many people in these high places, and it just comes down to my age, and that's a bummer. But it's like I got a journal, and like whenever I think of a wrestling story, I write it down now because I do want to write a book, and I'm going to do that. And it's like it's awesome. I look back, and it's like, did I tell you the Kevin Steen story where he made me take off his shoe? Do you remember that?
I don't think so.
I'll tell it if I told you. I
Listen,
might have actually.
you say Kevin Steen, my ears are open.
But
He was
I get,
working
like
Chris
these
Dickinson,
sounds
and
like
Chris
vaguely familiar, but yeah.
and
go
Chris
ahead.
Dickinson had him in ankle lock, and his ankle was hurting. So
Yes,
he's like,
you did tell us. I remember.
yeah, take his shoe off. I get in the back. Thanks, kid. It's like, what the fuck? You know?
And he left you in the ring just holding the shoe, right? Like he stopped selling and
Basically,
just left, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I remember now. Yeah.
I've screwed up more super kicks from the Young Bucks, and I always say to myself, that's why I'm not an AEW. They're like, fuck that kid. He can't take a super kick.
But if you
But
take
it's
the
like,
bad bump, that's perfect for a ref.
You're a
Though.
ref. You're supposed to.
you know, I don't know if I told you the Dave Cahill story, DC Dillons, God rest his soul. When I first started training, I was trying to learn how to bump until I realized that my old body doesn't want to be retrained on how to fall. And the Dan Terry, actually, wow, what's the name? I haven't said in a while. Was trying to tell me like, I hit you, take a flat back bump, and DC was in the crowd, and he got in the ring. He comes over and he says, "Stripes, let me tell you something. I punch you in the face and you take a flat back bump. I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to punch your face in again. Punch you in the face again." He goes, "Wrestlers bump, refs crumble. Good luck, kid." That's how I met him. He was one of the biggest heels in the league, too.
But it's right though, because I mean, you don't want to be a wrestler taking a flat back bump.
Right.
What are you gonna do? You're gonna pop back up and feed for him? You're gonna bump and feed, like you know? What I
Right.
mean?
Well,
You don't wanna be
I'll
taking
tell
a
you
bump.
what, I'll put it to you this way, and I'm sure there's people that are vouching. So if a ref's supposed to take a bad bump, I'm the master at it.
The master of the bad bump. There we go.
Oh, Spencer.
Put that in the Twitter bio right there. Matt, senior referee for NEW. Been in the business for how long have you been in again now? Like
I'm coming up to my
11 years. I know he was over 10,
yeah.
right? Yep.
September.
So yeah, been in the business for 11 plus years, and can take a really bad bump.
Absolutely. You want to ref the bump? But it's like, and that's, it's funny. A few years ago when I was younger, a little bit bigger, every show I went on, I swear I was getting bumped. Like every show. Until I figured out I can ask why. Like,
yeah, they just wanted to bump the old guy.
Why you want to bump? But it's the first time you guys have worked. There's no story. There's no reason that you should bump the ref. If I want to get heat, learn how to work. But you can't say that though, because you say that like that, and you'd be like, "Fuck you," like you know what I mean?
I've never.
But it's reality.
I've never relied on a ref bump for heat. I've never done that. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been ref bumps in my matches, but there's been reasons for them.
Well,
I've never done it just to get heat.
If you're trying to get something over or something, and it's like I was always trained too by Bo Douglas to never take a bump that I've never taken, or never, take a bump from someone that I've never actually taken the bump on my own before. I've had a guy who, he wanted to, I forget what it was, some crazy fucking thing, and I go, "What are you? I'm a referee, like, when you give me."
He wanted to give you like a move or some shit.
I actually took a Rough Rider before, believe it or not. When I first started, because I wasn't smart enough to say no, and that ended up being a bad story, but that's for another day. But wrestling's been great, man. I have had a blast. I got a little gas in the tank left. I don't want to go yet, but it's
keep
coming,
it going. Listen, you got GCW coming up now. I'm just kind of looking at their schedule. Is it November 20th in Providence?
Yes.
Okay. So You got your GCW. That's huge. I'm very curious to see. I know you mentioned prior you would prefer not to have a death match. So I feel like just us saying that you're going to get a death match.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
just-
I agree. But I'll tell you what, it's those guys, those deathmatch guys. I know Matt Tremont very well. Those guys are the nicest guys in the locker room, hands down.
That, I believe
Nicest
that.
guys. And those are the guys that'll push your car to a gas station.
Matt Tremont is the guy who took over the building that I used to train in, the Old Time Wrestling Building, which is now the H2O Wrestling Building. The H2O Wrestling Academy, I think, is the name of it. But
Oh, no kidding.
that was the building I used to wrestle in. So if
No
you're ever on one of
shit.
his shows down there, that's
Yeah.
also another old time wrestling alumni is a big part of GCW. Jimmy Lloyd, right?
Jimmy
He's
Lloyd
another
is
big.
an old time
Yeah.
wrestling alum. Yeah. See, as a
Yeah.
matter of fact, Jimmy Lloyd, when he
He's cuckoo.
he's fucking nuts, dude. The kid is nuts.
Saying that with love. Saying that with love.
No, I love Jimmy. I love Jimmy. Jimmy was one of my favorite kids ever to work with. So when Jimmy first started training, he came in around the same time as this kid, Steve Sanders, which I've talked about him on the show before too. The kid was extremely talented. Unfortunately had some problem with neck injuries. I think he started wrestling again afterwards. So I don't know if he still is now, but the funny thing is I got to see him. I went to Warped Tour 2 years ago. He was wrestling 2 years ago. He was at Warped Tour wrestling. I believe it was for GCW at Warped Tour. But anyway, Jimmy Lloyd started around the same time as him. So naturally, those two got paired together in a tag team. And I will tell you, some of my favorite matches that I ever did tag team wrestling were against Steve Sanders and Jimmy Lloyd. And
Nice.
we had a lot of fun. And the other thing I will say about Jimmy is that when Jimmy first started training, we were a very old school, classic wrestling school. Jimmy Lloyd came into that school knowing day one he wanted to be a deathmatch wrestler. Told everybody day one he wanted to be a deathmatch wrestler, but he still showed up and still spent 4 or 5 years learning actual wrestling and fundamentals before he even stepped foot into any of the death matches that he's being involved in now. So that'll tell you the kid definitely has some brains on him. He's not just some grunt rolling around in glass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good story right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the fact that day one he came in saying he wanted to do it, and now he's doing it, and seeing him going out and doing it on the shows he's doing it and the scale he's doing it, living his dream. Like you talked about Anthony Green living his dream out in Japan and doing everything. He's got to have a big smile on his face. Jimmy Lloyd has to be that same kid right now, because he literally he knew he wanted to do this right from the jump, and now he's doing it. So
yeah, I never knew that story. That's interesting.
He was a huge fan at the time. This was like before GCW was a thing. Like CZW was the big deathmatch wrestling federation at the time. Like he was obsessed with CZW. He wanted to get CZW so bad.
Yep. It was the hardest place to get into too.
Yeah, he used to do like security and ring crew stuff for them all the time, but he never got like booked on their shows. And then he finally started getting booked to death matches, I think, with like GCW. Like I said,
ring
like
crews, how you get booked?
Yeah, but I don't even think CZW booked him though.
No, I don't think so either.
No, I don't. I think he started in GCW. I think.
I'm not sure. He might. I'm not sure.
I mean, I'm sure he probably did other death matches other places before then too. But you know what I mean? Like I think like out of the big death match places to go, I think GCW was the first one he got into.
I mean, how many light tubes can he hit with? My
Lord.
Hey man, that's what he wanted to do, and he's doing it. So good for him.
Crazy,
I will say that.
Crazy.
Yep.
I mean, I would love to do a Moxley GCW match. That would be. I would probably just leave my ref gear in the locker room and just call it a day.
No, hell no. You got to take that home and like frame it, because it's probably going to be all bloodstained and everything else. Like you got to frame that and put a date on it.
Good point. Good point.
Yep.
Yeah. Good point.
But yeah, you got that coming up. You obviously have Chaotic Wrestling, Northeast Wrestling, which listen, bummer that, we were supposed to be at that Poughkeepsie show last month, for obvious reasons, postponed. Probably the right call with the Ring of Honor pay-per-view and the whole Jeff Hardy stuff.
That was a tough call, trust me.
Yeah,
I bet.
Sure.
No, there was a million reasons. Probably better.
We were bummed out, but we understood.
Right.
Yeah.
It'll be a
real
good
wrestling
show.
fan and stuff too. Real people that understand wrestling. You know, it happens. You know,
I mean,
You
what
think
kind of show
about it,
can you
right?
really put on? Like all the roster was going to be
Yeah.
doing other shit now. Like,
Right.
you know, ROH all of a sudden
And
came back and now they got a show.
Yep. And I think AEW does something now too. I don't want to overstep my talking here, but I think only certain people can work certain places or something
Yeah.
like that.
No, they
Something
definitely,
like that.
I think they need approval to go work outside places. For
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, because I know Wheeler Yuta's on the next Beyond show, which is excuse me, this Sunday actually. It's Beyond has a show every year called American Run, and it's like their biggest show of the year. And yeah, they're
Yeah,
actually gonna let me do this one. So
nice.
Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff going on. But listen,
Yeah.
this was awesome again. Every so often, as long as you want to keep coming back, we can keep having you on to
Yeah.
just shoot the shit.
I just looked at the clock too.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah, no,
Oh,
listen,
wow.
we're all
Okay.
listen. Late night, man. This podcast, this is gonna
Yeah.
Night
it'll
owls,
be up.
baby.
Listen, it's all
It's
good.
like yeah. I'm trying to think. There was something else I want
You
to
gonna
say.
get it
I
up, Mike?
forget what it was.
I got a chuckle out of Skylar. Skylar's been quiet this whole episode. I
You
feel
know,
like I feel like
I'm
this
just
whole
listening.
episode has just been me and Kevin riffing at each other.
I was gonna say it kind of has actually, you know.
I'm just sitting
Dude,
back enjoying.
Sit back and listen.
But
Me
it's
and
like,
Kevin
you
just
know,
swapping stories.
you know what? I'll throw a tidbit out to all the young guys out there for real, right? The young guys, you know how you get booked? You get booked by getting your butt in your car and showing up at a place and reaching out to help.
And you bring your gear everywhere you go. You bring your gear.
Bring
Always have your
gear.
gear in the car.
You bring your gear to the supermarket. You put it in your, it's always in your gear should always be in your car. And you just go everywhere. If you're in a wrestling school, try to get a group of guys together. If you're not sure how to reach out to a promoter, ask a trainer. I'm sure they'll show you how or even do it for you. And don't be afraid to go out and just take opportunities. And if you want to work somewhere, there's a company you really want to work for, let them know that. And go out again, just keep doing ring crew and just keep coming back and keep coming back. I'm not going to guarantee you're going to get booked, but you may. You may get booked. And the other thing too, like airport runs and stuff like that, I know promoters will tell you like, oh, it's just, you know, really do this. I appreciate it. They appreciate it, but they forget about them too. So be easy on those. Those take a lot out of it. But they do get you brownie points, and they do get you maybe put on the show, and they do get you a match or two. And I've done a shit load of it. And it's different now because you can actually park at the airport a little more. So I guess, you know, if you got to do them, do them. But be kind to one another out there, protect each other, and just enjoy wrestling, man. Oh, low power move. Ooh. But and be good to each other, and no potatoes out there. Stop with the potatoes.
No potatoes.
Man, I'm in the ring. I'm like, oh shit, you know. But again, these guys work so good, and you guys sell so good that it's just. You think about it, right? Real quick, long story short. Think about it. You grab a building, it's empty. You take a wrestling ring, people put it together. You take seats, you put them out. You promote the show. You put fans in the seat. You take people doing live performances, and it's like incredible. I'd touch on a subject that if I do, we're gonna be up till 4 or 5 in the morning. But I'll touch on it.
Next week. Or
No, I'll
next
touch
time.
on
I
it.
mean,
I'll
next time.
touch on it real quick. You
Just a teaser.
cannot please these fans.
No.
You just can't please them. They
Can't
man,
please everybody.
I go into some of these forums because somehow I'm in all these groups. I don't know how I get in there. It's people that add me. It's like you see these people. It's like, and the way they talk about these people, like they use their nicknames. You know, it's like, you know, when Hogan was in there, it's like, listen, relax, sit back, enjoy wrestling. Like your opinions, I don't want to say they don't matter, but do you think as you sit there and bitch and moan on a forum that Tony Khan's gonna say, dude, Kevin Quinn doesn't like this, we better change it? You know what I'm saying? Like, go with the flow and just enjoy wrestling, man. And I'll
I've
tell
been
you what,
saying the same thing for
I agree.
years.
and I'll say this too. I get these 2 or 3 people at Chaotic Wrestling that shit all over my reference. Like, I know we're all in this and having fun, etc. But I'll put it to you this way. If you think you can do better, come to the next show. I'll give you my ref shirt. You sign a waiver in case anything happens. and you go out there and show me how to do it. Seriously though, just enjoy wrestling. And as far as heckling, I used to be a front row heckler. I was the front row guy giving a shit, yelling at you and all this other stuff. And you know, my first night at Chaotic, they walked by me and said, "You're on the right side. You're on the wrong side of the guardrail." And I'm like, Chase Del Monte, he'll say it to this day. You're still on the wrong side, kid. But if I'm gonna fight in the locker room, I want him to side. So, but I could, like I said, I could go all night because this is a fun podcast because you guys, we talk like, you know, and it's
it's a great time, man. It's always great having you.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
actually
something
when I said, when we were interviewing the House of Pain before we got on the air, I said, this podcast, we call it in the ring.
Call it on the fly, baby. We work on the fly
like
here.
We call it in the we call this podcast in the ring.
I was trained to work on the fly, and I work on the fly still.
Yep. So I hope those two other referees, if they hear this, they, you know, and if you don't want to come on here, you know, feel free to reach out to me. You know, we're all older now, and Dan Tanaka is going to be back in the area. You know.
We'll set up a cage match for the next 6-9 event.
Handicap match.
Big thank you for that. But listen, you can follow Kevin on social media, on Twitter and on Instagram at Ref Quinn. Again, see him in GCW, Chaotic Wrestling, Northeast Wrestling, all over the place. I know I'm sure I missed a couple other places.
No, we're going to be out in Worcester, Mass this Sunday for our Wrestling Open, which is the opener, and that's followed up by the Beyond Wrestling American Roundup. And you never know. That's all I can say.
It's a good place to leave it.
I like it.
That's a good place to leave it.
Leave the mystery.
But yeah, no, this was awesome. We'll have, like, again, that I feel like that's a nice little teaser for the next time we have you on, which, you know, sooner than later. I'm curious to talk about fans because I feel like obviously our perspective is
I can talk about
fans.
I have a good fan story and you guys already know it, but Kevin would love to hear it, but I'll save it for next time.
We'll save it for next time.
And let's put this on the docket too. Let's talk about I'll leave that out of it.
we got too much going on. We're too excited.
There's certain things you can touch on, and there's certain things that you should just stay away from. You know?
I've always gotten fist fights with fans, so
you keep teasing the cliffhanger's there, man. In a few weeks,
we have an episode. This is an episode. We have an episode.
It's gonna be. That's a beauty.
Absolutely. I'll see the fans at the Beyond Wrestling who they love me now. It's gonna be fuck you, Quinn.
Talking shit about us. For Kevin, thank you again. This was awesome again. For Skylar, for CJ, I'm Mike. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Subscribe,
follow all the plugs here.
Follow all of us. Let's get these rapid fire out.
6-Man Tag Podcast
on Instagram. On 6-Man Tag on Twitter.
At 6-Man Tag.
Hit the link tree in the Instagram bio to get our Apple Podcast link, or Spotify link, or YouTube link at 6-Man Tag Podcast on YouTube. Join the Discord, join the conversation. All that. Follow Skylar on Twitch at Strange AFC on Twitch. Follow the Paperweight Project on what socials are you on? The Facebook and
YouTube, SoundCloud, Instagram, and Facebook.
Do all that.
All at the Paperweight Project. It's all of it is the same.
Do all that.
Follow it all.
Do it.
Actually, SoundCloud, because I'm not like actually a paying member. I think I don't have my own domain, so it's like whatever. But if you search the Paperweight Project on SoundCloud, it'll show up. And that's where all the songs will be without the videos.
Same.
But
we don't have enough
other places
YouTube.
Will have videos.
You got to listen. Subscribe to the YouTube, because if we get enough YouTube subscriptions, I can make a custom URL, but I can't yet. So hit that damn subscribe button. Follow all get all the follows, and listen. In your descriptions is all the socials. Follow them all. But for everybody, hey, bye for now. We'll see you.
Peace.